Okay, good afternoon everyone and thanks for joining us today. This is Joe with the LSA and I'd like to welcome all of you to our webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Unified Reporting, Taming Data Overload with Integrated Analytics, and will be brought to you by our guest presenters Kristen and Zach from TapClicks. So with that, let's get started. Over to you, Kristen.
Thanks, John. This is Kristen Lundeen. I'm with TapClicks, and we are located in both San Jose, California and Boston offices, with also offices in Montreal and Paris. So we've been in the business of marketing analytics since 2009. We're actually a merged company of two different partners or companies that were in the marketing dashboard and analytics space. We've come together and brought the best minds together to work on dashboards and delivering results to clients. Our primary clients are large media companies, agencies, even individual customers who are doing their own advertising, and they leverage us to help deliver their results and marketing programs to their clients and demonstrate the results of those programs. Go ahead, Zach.
So, yeah. Hey, everyone. This is Zachary Jarvin. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at TapClicks. Really great to have you here. Just kind of starting out with some initial kind of context of where we are and where we're going. It's a fun graphic. Some of us are nostalgic. Some of us are Mad Men fans. Even all said and done. But essentially, is these days are gone. And actually with it, some of the kind of negative things. That is, there's an opportunity we have to be more transparent, more honest, do more things with attribution. But the kind of quintessential, one guy, a couple of clients in the room that just kind of give an up or down vote on a single creative that goes out to, maybe a few magazines. Like, we don't have that anymore. And so, it's just kind of neat to kind of think about, how far we've come. Specifically, hey, we're in this, it's the new school of marketing. That's what we're talking about today. And we all know the drivers of that, right? There's a handful here, but, the internet, the iPhone, social networks, right? All of this is changing, the way we do marketing to be more, to be faster attention spans, right? But also, how do we connect the dots in a very real digital way, because we can measure that click, or we can measure a cost per conversion. So it's a neat thing. Now, I don't know if folks are familiar with this graphic, the globe there, but it's the MarTech landscape. You can Google it. It's a really neat, really fun graphic, but also kind of blows your mind on man, how many vendors are out there? How many folks, are now providing digital tools or tools by which we can reach or create new channels. Just as kind of a snapshot in time, we were looking at this graphic. From January 2014 to January 2015, it over doubled in size as the number of vendors more than doubled. So it's now thousands of vendors just in the marketing technology space providing tools and neat tools and benefits. And that actually, that brings us to today. We actually agree. In fact, there's really neat data out there that shows more tools. There are these tools that we actually, many of us, have kind of known and come to use and even love. They make us better marketers. We're better by using more tools. Gartner has come out with some research, even quantifying it, right? The campaigns that are using 4 more digital channels outperform those who alone do single or dual channel marketing. And actually, and Kristen might have something to add here from our own clients, but it actually, the ratio actually goes up as you add channels. Is it something else?
Actually, some of our experience, a lot of our partners do package programs together. So one of the best practices in the industry is to be able to put together combined multi-channel programs that you can then deliver to your advertisers, and it deliver that 300% increase in value and outperform your competitors. One of the things that we also have seen is that oftentimes advertisers, especially in the small to mid-sized space, they're getting hit 3 to 5 times a week with new pitches for advertising, which means they're constantly being barraged by new providers, new tools, new options for doing their marketing, which means getting and keeping that client is more critical than ever.
So, with that, we're going to talk a lot about reporting today, but just in terms of the numbers on what all of those many tools are now doing to us is and this is actually for general marketers. I know there's a couple of ad ops folks in the audience and our marketing ops whose job is to do a lot of reports. So for them, I'm sure you're thinking only 5 hours or only 10 hours, but with all these tools, going in and pulling from each and every one of them, what we've seen is a lot of even cut and pasting, or just at least what it takes to kind of log into each and every one of these, is spending, even a general marketer, half of the general marketers at least over half a day. So anyway, just this is the challenge that we're kind of facing.
And this actually increases. I mean, obviously, the more programs and the more advantage that you take of the innovation going on in the market, the bigger that actually grows. So we'll talk a little bit more about how you solve it, but go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. So the other kind of thing we want to drive home, and then Kristen's going to give some really great insight on how do we solve this, is the other thing we've seen is that so more reporting so a lot of tools, more tools are better, and more analytics on tools are actually better. So this is some other new data we pulled. Folks who use analytics are by and large overall outperform the competition. And so we want to, it's a good thing. We want to be there. We want to provide those things. But we're just kind of seeing these challenges. Kind of with that specifically, right, the measurement challenge, right? Okay, everyone, man, we agree, marketing performance, measuring it's important. However, just, really not everyone feels like they're there yet. And so we'll just talk about how to face that.
And to the point that we were just making is when we saw the earlier slide around Don Draper, one of the things that our market is demanding and all our advertisers are demanding now is transparency. They are used to seeing reports. They're used to seeing some of these metrics. Not in all cases. Obviously, there are going to be some customers who aren't going to understand any of it. But as a general rule, people are sort of have expectations that they're going to start to see these results and that they're going to measure them. So as you're going into your advertisers and talking to them, you need to always remember that your competitor probably has a report or something that they're going to show them, which means it's incredibly important to put that front and center in front of your advertisers. Go ahead.
So, kind of in sum, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, that's okay. So overall, a lot of these, I mean, everybody's trying to bring the best products into their advertisers, get them the best value. And what that does is it actually does make a bit of a reporting challenge. So if you are one of those agencies that takes advantage of a wide variety of programs, you're pulling manual reports, you're yanking, you're spending the, somewhere between 6 and 20 hours a week getting your reports together, it's expensive. So when you're looking at your bottom line, those numbers, how expensive is delivering a report, right? The other thing is that what we want to do is we need to be able to start talking about an ROI story with our advertisers. So everybody talks about, okay, CPM and CPC, but what matters to an advertiser is what did they get for business from that marketing? And did they get the objectives that they were looking for out of the program that you presented to them? And then the other thing is, like I was talking earlier about the advertisers being hit with marketing messages all the time, is we've seen, I mean, this almost 50% churn. People can go anywhere and get a lot of similar programs, which means differentiating your services are going to be really important to be successful. Zach?
And so we thought as kind of a little bit of comic relief at this point. So beyond the data, if any of you, and I know I've been there, I know I've seen there's a couple of AdOps folks in the audience, have spent your day manually pulling together all these reports. I mean, sometimes you get in a flow and you do it. But there's a little bit of, I want to burn down the village. So this isn't a fun thing. We want to solve this. Kind of going forward, how many times have we been asked, yeah, just take some screenshots, right? Throw that in a report and push it out. Sometimes it works, kind of, but there's a little bit of, man, there's got to be a better way, right? And right, of course, for those who who are new to the industry, how do you explain? And it's actually it's not always Q4. It's usually end of the month what we see. But right at the end of the month, man, get all those reports down, and you just lock yourself in a room, or don't talk to me. It's reporting, days, and there went all of our social life and everything else. So yeah. So now, what can we do about this? So one of the things. So this webinar is all really about how do we automate that reporting product, or how do we automate that reporting process. So the first thing, so a couple of steps involved, and regardless of the tool. I mean, obviously, as we get through here, we'll be showing you a couple of pieces of our tool, but this really applies to any tool that you decide to evaluate or look at in the market. What we want to do is there's a couple of steps involved in looking at your marketing reporting and figuring out how to automate that. So the first one, if you want to go to the next slide, Zach. Yeah.
The first one is you want to look at a platform or look at a program that pulls all of your data into one place. There's nothing, if you're trying to realize the benefit of a consolidated report, as we talk about in a little bit, branding options and how we present that to our clients in a unified view, you want all your data in there. So it's really important. I can't sort of stress it enough that our most successful partners in the market are the ones who've actually pulled all of their programs together into one, and those are the ones who are really realizing the benefit of an automated and unified solution. Go ahead, Zach. Okay, the next step is oftentimes we're seeing the market package services into product groups. So what they may do is they may sell something like a search product or a particular display product, and that under the covers is 3 or 4 different platforms that are actually delivering those services. So what you want to be able to do is, obviously, if you're selling a display product to your customer, your advertiser, what you want to be able to do is talk in the language that your advertiser understands and represent the services the way they understand them. So one of the things to just be aware of and cognizant of is that if you're doing a display and a retargeting, banner, owner-operated retargeting, you may want to group those all together and deliver it as one impressions number. So maybe these are the total impressions that you're delivering for that client across all of the platforms that you're doing it. So we're seeing that happen a lot, so you want to look at how you can group those and speak the language of your customer. Zach, do you want to add anything? Okay. The other piece is that you want to then start thinking about, now that you've got your data in, you figured out how you want to organize that and present it to your customers, you want to tell a visual story. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to identify the key metrics that are valuable for that particular program. Now that's going to be different. So the important thing to remember is that it's going to be different for every customer that you're selling to. It may even be different within industries. A lot of times you'll see commonality with an industry. So for instance, an auto dealer who's doing a brand campaign, those folks, they're going to be really focused on your impressions and driving your CPM number. Where a retailer, a small business retailer, probably wants leads, maybe a services business like a plumber. They're really all they care about is leads. They could care less how many impressions they delivered. They just want to know how many people called me and bought something from me. So it's really important to understand and sort of divide up your client base into the things that they value and tell the story using your reporting or your dashboard to be able to tell the story that advertiser that's going to resonate with them and in the terms that they get.
I mean, maybe adding just in terms as a practitioner, right? So chart 101, right? We use pie graphs. We use to tell what proportional contributions. So usually this pie graph on the bottom right, I use for when speaking to an executive. Hey, where are my conversions coming from? Right? Google search? Are they coming from email? Are they coming from organic from page search? And so pie chart. Nice way to do that. Big numbers on the top left. That's right. If I just want a quick snapshot of how where am I at? In this case, impressions and clicks for the last 30 days, the last month, and then bar charts can be another way to do that. And finally, obviously, line charts showing trends. So if I'm seeing this line chart, I'm even before I send the report, I'm diving deeper and I'm saying, hey, what's the downward trend here? What's causing that? Looking at the different levers and, maybe even coming up with a strategy on how we're going to correct. Still sending the report out, but saying, hey, we're seeing this, and this is how, we maybe are going to correct it.
Okay, now what you next want to do is you want to make it your own. So one of the challenges with doing reporting the old school way, where you pull it out of a bunch of different platforms and you kind of hobble it together, is it makes your brand somewhat fragmented. So being able to deliver a cohesive story to an advertiser is difficult when you've got a Google AdWords report and a Bing report and a DFP report, and you're trying to pull all of that together. So so I would encourage anybody who's investigating dashboards or things is to look for white labeling options, look for options to be able to present that data like yourself. So as I was talking about earlier, where you want to select the metrics that are meaningful for your clients, you also want to put your brand on it, make sure that you're reinforcing your messaging, who you are, and what you bring to the table to your clients.
Yeah, kind of an interesting, I think another piece here, right, is so even just more plainly speaking, what we've seen is a benefit, a client retention benefit here, as your clients start to get used to getting this report, and it has your name on it. We've seen is it creates kind of a stickiness, or that is they're more likely not to switch because they like this kind of report, your report that they get. They're used to it, and so it's kind of a nice thing. We actually struggled with this. Like, do you allow white labeling or not? Certainly it could be in our interest to brand everything ourselves, but we want to serve you guys. So find a provider. It could be somebody else, but that offers that type of branding and kind of reiterating what Kristen's saying. We actually go a level deeper where you can rename services. So if just looking on the graph here, Facebook ads. If you want to call it something different, your own agency, social ads. You can do that. So interesting things. Yeah.
And it goes along the same lines with that grouping that we talked about as well, where you may want to say you may want to sell a social product that incorporates services being delivered across a variety of different platforms, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and then what you want to do is group those together and show them on one social program so that you see the total result of all of the activities. Okay. And then the last piece of the puzzle is you want to automate that. Obviously, the real benefit of being able to do automated reporting is that it's automated and you don't have to do it by hand. So you want to definitely look for a platform that has the scheduling options that are going to be meaningful. They're definitely, I mean, being able to schedule a weekly or monthly report and have that report be delivered to a set of email addresses for the client, be able to dynamically change that as things change. So obviously a customer, having a customer be able to either register themselves or opt in or be able to, change the email address pretty easily. You're going to want to look for those kinds of things. The other thing is you want to make sure that the platform has enough flexibility to be able to do those different profiles for the different kinds of clients, because again, you want that report that the client ends up getting to be reflective of what they bought and make that story resonate with them so that they can see how much value you're delivering. And then the other piece of the automation is you want to look also, because obviously you're pulling all this data together, you can do more than just report to your clients. Oftentimes what we see is that our customers will use this heavily internally. So they'll actually distribute reports to their AdOps teams or to their account management teams, and they will use those to figure out whether or not they've got a client that's at risk or whether they need some optimization. So obviously there's a bunch of different tools that you can do that, but we've seen a lot of success where folks will deliver these daily even to their clients or to their internal users and stakeholders so that they can use it and keep track of how the program is performing. Oftentimes you'll see that even with a salesperson. If you've got a salesperson who's really active with the clients and very interested in what's going on with each of theirs, they may opt to get a report on a regular basis too.
Yeah, we actually, it's funny, we kind of try to eat our own dog food at TapClicks, and so we send these to ourselves internally. But it's some of the framework is the same. When I'm setting these up, I'm thinking, hey, who is this going to? What is the right level of data, or the right view that they need, right depth, not too much, right? Not too little, just enough, and then kind of what cadence. So just specifically for, maybe our internal kind of marketing team, daily, I'll do daily or at least weekly, but sometimes even daily, because I want to, first thing in the morning, see, hey, how are we at? Where are we at? Where are the campaigns? How are they performing? I want to be pushed in my email with a kind of reminder to kind of be thinking through where we're at with all of our metrics at a very tactical level. Now, again, kind of going back to the separation of then if you're talking to an executive or, a kind of key client who maybe not have that much bandwidth, it's listening to them. I think where I've kind of developed the best reporting is where I've kind of really, through conversations with them, have heard, hey, I want more or I want a little less. You can kind of get a sense, in those engagements. Hopefully if you have good, client services teams that are speaking with them, they'll pass that information back, or you're speaking to them yourself and you're able to see, we should up the interval or up the number of sends to them or up the detail of data that we send to them, or we want to just hit those big KPIs, whether it's conversions or something like that versus impressions, click-through rate, things like that. So food for thought.
All right.
Want to get to questions, so I know, hopefully you guys all have questions, but with that.
All right. So as a word summary, as you're looking at automating your reporting, you're going to want to look at how you sell your products and what are the key delineators, so between if it's an industry slice or maybe it's a sophistication level slice, of what kinds of presentation views you want to do. So you want to do that kind of homework up front. It's always helpful to know sort of what you want to deliver to your clients before you start working with the tool. Then after you get a tool and go, oh, I don't know how to set this up. So you want to definitely do a little bit of that work. Make sure that you can pull all your data into one place and that it's at a high level of quality. Then you're going to want to set up your reports. You want to make sure that you can generate those, that you can use them throughout your organization, and that you've got your users and everybody activated and able to work with the reports. And then do the reporting and actually start automating the process. One of the things, if you're a larger agency or a larger larger media company, we've seen a lot of success with people doing sort of a pilot run, maybe do a pilot group with some of their clients, do a bit of a focus group and figure out what they really want to see, and then leverage that when they actually deploy the product and start using the reports from it, so that way you have an iteration and a feedback loop with some of your actual users to make sure that you're delivering them really what they value and what's important to them.